What's going on, y'all? It's Saturday. Y'all know what that means. Code Geass Roze of the Recapture conversation. Here we come. This episode to me wasn't that great, but I recognized it as a setup episode. So come on, let's talk about what happened in the episode. If you're not caught up, go ahead and watch it. Don't come past here. Spoilers is right after this. So let's get into the video. Also, if you're new here, like the video, subscribe to the channel so you can get more Code Geass updates. But let's get into the episode. So, the beginning of the episode is where the episode had a couple of strong suits. The number one strong suit of this episode was cameos, okay? So we got to see some characters that returned from the original series, but the beginning of the episode is where we get the biggest cameo to me, in my opinion. Let me show you right quick. My jaw dropped on the floor when I saw C2. I was not expecting to see her, and I was even less expecting to actually see a full Lelouch from now. You know what I mean? At the end of the last episode, you saw that they gave us the tidbit of understanding that her Geass, Sakuya's Geass, came from Lelouch. And of course, C2's line of questioning is interesting because it kind of follows the understanding that she has of why she got involved in the first place, right? Just trying to figure out why, he made that choice. But whatever, right? He doesn't really answer. Instead, he gives that kind of mysterious Lelouch answer. The credits roll or whatever. And then we get into the aftermath of Sakuya being named the Empress. The world is in shambles. People are trying to figure out her claim to the throne. It's her bloodline. And I think the biggest thing that it caused is turmoil within the resistance groups, right? Because they believe that she is supposed to be a princess for Japan. However, since they haven't seen her, and I'm assuming that they don't know that she's been kidnapped, right? Which they should, because the guy in episode 1 said it, but they're acting like they don't know. Because they have to be told that, you know what I'm saying, she isn't actually a bad person, because they have a little argument about it. And to me, it makes sense, the argument, because it's like, okay, where's she been at? And now she's just gonna pop up and be god dang Empress of Britannia. And this causes an issue. However, I think that the way that this came about works because it creates an opportunity for Sakuya, aka Roze, to show her charismatic nature and her leadership skills in order to rally the troops around their cause. You know what I mean? I think that makes perfect sense. I think that was a really good choice. There's also a scene that I really liked. I really liked this scene because, as I mentioned before, Callus is dead. And they have his funeral and all this stuff. These are separate events. I'm not saying these things in chronological order, but during this time, Roze calls Natalia to check on her because everything is in turmoil. But then Natalia says, "How are you doing?" And Roze answers as a part of her cause. And Natalia says, No. I mean, really, how are you? Like, not Roze, but Sakuya. And this is important to me because it's cool to see one of the only people who actually knows who Roze actually is checking in on the person as opposed to the cause. And it meant a lot to her, but I think it goes back into the theme I was talking about in the last few episodes. Her not allowing herself to be who she truly is. And so you can see in her face like, I'm fine, yeah, I'm good. And that's something that people do on a regular basis when they're not really okay, but they have to kind of like keep trudging on for the sake of the mission. We also get a scene where I think his name is Christoph, is interrogating the guy. One of the guys who helped cause trouble in allowing Roze in, opening the door. He said, "There's footage of you opening the door," and bro's like, "I don't know anything. I know." He's Shift Thomas singing out here. And I think this is to set up their eventual finding out about what Geass is and what it actually does. I think this is cool because I think Christoph is kind of showing himself to be a little sick individual. You know what I mean? Earlier, he was like not caring about old boy committing, the act, lighting himself up, and now he's kind of shown to be torturing people to get information out of him, right? There's also another scene where Sakuya is walking with my baby, my beautiful, beautiful Catherine Sabathra. She's walking with her, and this is very Code Geass-esque to have the people talking in the background about, oh, how does she get to be Empress? She's half 11. Well, at least Norland still has the power. But I think it was important for them to say that Norland still had the power, because I think that it's hard for people to see that Norland is orchestrating things, because I don't think they've characterized him well enough. But there's also that, and they introduced a new guy. I think his name is Devok. And Devok is a warrior. He's a warmonger. So he was shooting on the resistance groups and clearing them out of an area. And this is going to be important later, because it shows that the resistance groups themselves are not able or capable to take on the Neo Britannia forces by themselves. And it's pushing them into a position where the title of the episode becomes Truth, Alliance. They need to form alliances if they're going to get through this. However, they have different views and opposing thought processes on what's taking place. I actually missed talking about the second cameo of the episode, which happened earlier on. The commander-in-chief of the Black Knights is Cornelia Lee Britannia. She is the one who confirms the claims of the Empire's blood within Sakuya Sumeragi. I think we already knew that she was that, but to hear it confirmed through Cornelia is dope. And to know that she's still actively out on the battlefield doing what she's supposed to do. And she's coming up with a plan, because she is the commander-in-chief of the Black Knights specifically, was important. She mentions Sherry, I believe, which is supposed to be one of her sisters. I think that I don't remember which one that is. So somebody need to help me. If you remember who Sherry is, let me know in the comments. That was important. But then there's also a portion of this episode where the Black Knights bring someone to collaborate with, the Seven Shining Stars. And that person, well, along with the lady that came with them, is Nina Einstein. Nina Einstein returns. She makes her return. The Neo Britannia forces have the Damocles and Flayers, which I still don't understand. But if maybe in the movies, the Flaya and stuff didn't get exploded or disintegrate on the sun. But regardless, they got them now. And Nina has developed a better way to stop Flaya warheads. Because before they had to enter the environmental data and impact it within 0.4 seconds or something like that. But now, as long as her little stick is within 100 meters of the Flaya, it should be able to disarm it. And I like this because it shows Nina that hasn't just been sitting on her hands. But I don't like this because, number one, I thought Flayers were gone. But number two, it seems like this is rehashing. So in the series, Nina already had this moment where I'm trying to stop Flayers because I created Flayers. And so it's another instance of them recreating moments from the original series to try to give us that feeling. You know what I mean? Then, of course, they decide on who the ace pilot of the Kitetsu is going to be. I believe that's what it's called, Kitetsu. And it is obviously Haruka. Haruka is shown early in the episode that she's training hard to be better. And there's a moment where Roze recognizes that her abilities are being stifled by the nightmares that they're having. I don't agree with that choice either. I think that you could have shown her to be exceptional in those nightmares, and then we would have seen, okay, maybe if she had a better nightmare, you know what I mean? But we didn't see that. We just kind of seen her there as a person. One other thing that I hope that they explore better is Captain Kuroto. I hope that they actually show, because in this episode they told us how excellent he was through the Lupin looking character. The only reason I'm calling him Lupin is because of My Media Clips, so shout out to My Media Clips. But he kind of talks about how good he is and how he could have been this and could have been that. And it's like, you could have showed that he's been in battle a few times. We could have seen really what he's capable of all this time and why it was necessary to rescue him in the first place. But they didn't show that. But then they decide on that. Then the group that got assassinated got destroyed by Devok early. And then the 7 shining stars have a conversation where they try to come on a common ground to try to get together in order to fight Neo Britannia. And it is ultimately Roze who shows the fortitude of understanding what each side needs to join together to create this alliance that they need to fight against these forces, because they're not going to win on their own. And fighting amongst each other and not understanding that is what's going to have you lose. As they decide to make this alliance, Devok starts talking about how he's going to blow up the area where the resistance is supposed to be, but they're not actually there, and that's something that the resistance confirms. And so they're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Rose's like, we got to fight. This is kind of what we planned on. We got to fight the Damocles. Yes, we got to do it. We have to go against it. And so now they have the weapons and the technology to take this out. And I apologize, I didn't say this before. Earlier, Roze made sure that the morale of the people was not against Sakuya, because as she would be technically the leader of the Neo-Britannian Empire, it's important to understand that she is just a puppet in the same way Callus was. And so instead of allowing the people to stay fighting on that idea, she stepped in and made sure they understood that she's just being used. She probably jumped in to try to help, but ultimately she's a puppet to Norland. She even showed the footage. You remember the footage where I was making fun of her? Like, nah, no. She showed the picture of that so that they would know. So keep in mind, they don't think they're fighting Sakuya. They think that they are going up against Neo Britannia and Norland. And that is where the episode ended. I love the cameos. I'm grateful to see my characters again. I think Lelouch is going to step in. Excuse me. I think Lelouch is going to step in. I think that he'll feel a sense of responsibility for giving her the Geass power, in the same way that C2 kind of had a wish. And I think they're different, but I think Lelouch wants to see positives in the world. And so I think that this conflict is going to drag out who he is. And so this will not be the last time we see him. We won't just see them in passing. I think both of them will have a major part to play in this episode and the next few episodes to come. But let me know what you guys think of this episode. Like I said, it wasn't OD amazing. The goal was to set up all of these things, and I'm sorry that I kind of like spit-fired them all, but it was important just to get all the information out so that you guys understood, like, these things happened in this episode, and they're setting up what is to be a big fight next episode. So I don't think we'll get a lot of exposition next episode. I think we'll get little reveals, but I think next episode will be all fighting. But let me know what you guys think about it in the comments, and I'll see you guys next Saturday. Y'all already know what it is. It's Comics Corner. Let's go.